This past week has been weird, to say the least, with the Republican talking points being all over the damn place with regards to COVID, the pandemic, the vaccine, all of it. We have seen some truly remarkable things. We have seen Republicans like Ron DeSantis, Sean Hannity, Mitch McConnell, Steve Doocy, and Steve Scalise all come out. Oh, and of course, by the way, Chris Ruddy, the CEO of Newsmax, we have seen all of these people come out publicly and encourage people to get vaccinated. Actively saying, I've taken the shot, I'm safe. Not all of them have said this. Actually, I think maybe they did, but they've said, take it, it's safe. Let's protect ourselves. Let's take the pandemic seriously, Sean Hannity told his audience this past week. Just a week ago, none of these people were saying this. Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, thinks he's going to be the next president maybe, did a press conference where he told people to go get vaccinated as his state watches COVID cases rise faster than anywhere else in the country. Finally came out and said, go get vaccinated. It'd been great if you'd have said this 6 months ago. Same thing with all these individuals. It would be great if, Sean Hannity hadn't downplayed the pandemic, which Media Matters has a wonderful timeline of all the, attacks he's had on the pandemic, on the vaccine, everything. But hey, at least these individuals are finally coming out and doing the right thing, right? Now, that's not to say that their counterparts, whether they're in Congress or on Fox News, their counterparts are still saying the opposite. Because on the same episode where Steve Doocy told people to get vaccinated, his co-host Brian Kilmeade goes out there and says, hey, people have a right to die from the virus if they want. Don't tell them to get vaccinated. It's not the government's job to protect people, he said. Sean Hannity's counterpart, Tucker Carlson, still casting doubt as to whether the vaccine is a good idea or maybe it could hurt you. Members of Congress, cool, you're coming out now. You still have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene actively spreading conspiracy theories about the vaccine and the pandemic. The Republican Party right now is all over the place. But again, it is weird that some of them have finally shifted and are now telling people, protect yourself, take it seriously. So I think what's happened is that really just in the last week, after all the headlines, and I've talked about it, you see them almost every day. Trump supporter dies of COVID, conspiracy theorist dies of COVID, anti-vaxxer dies of COVID. I think these Republicans are looking at all these headlines and saying, you know what? Gonna be real hard to keep my show on the air if my entire audience dies. It's gonna be real hard for me to win re-election if all my voters die. I, honest to God, think that is the revelation that these Republicans are having. Now listen, I don't think the entire audience base of Fox and Friends or Sean Hannity's show was ever actually going to die off. I don't think an entire district filled with Republicans is ever going to die. But I do think Republicans are starting to understand people are dying at alarming rates again. And these are their supporters. Not all of them, but God, it's a lot of them. And when your base starts dying off because you've been telling them lies or you've been silent about it, because not all these Republicans I've mentioned here have been, deniers or anti-vaxxers. Some of them have just kept their mouths shut and not said a thing. But now they're speaking out, telling people to do something to protect themselves. Because they understand that you can't be silent anymore. Because the families of those, COVID deaths, they're going to start looking at these individuals and saying, well, wait a minute. You told us, you told him, you told her, who's now in the ground, that this wasn't something they had to worry about. And now my mother's dead. Now my brother's dead. Now my child is dead. How dare you come to me for re-election when I believed your lies and now my loved one is in the ground? That would cost Republicans dearly. You don't have to have all their voters die off. Just enough of them to wake up the rest of them. And that's what Republicans are afraid of. And it is a little too late. But I will say, congrats to those Republicans. Thank you to those Republicans finally telling people to protect themselves. You should have done it 17 months ago. You shouldn't have politicized masks. You shouldn't have politicized the vaccines. And the deaths that happened because of that are on your shoulders. So encouraging people now isn't going to clear your conscience. Those deaths happened. You can't take those back. But maybe, if you keep pushing this, maybe you can prevent more. And I guess at this point, that's the best we can hope for.